How's it doing that? Well, hello and good evening. Such a beautiful day outside today. Hello and good evening. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna wait for like 30 seconds and then I'll go ahead and get started. But all of a sudden I got nervous. All right, so wow. So good evening and happy Tuesday. I'm Dr. Nicole, your confidence coach. And I wanted today to just kind of, first of all, how are you doing today? Let's start there because it's only Tuesday, but it's been a week so far. It's definitely been a week so far. It's been a while since I've been up here live. This, of course, is being recorded. I am going to share it. But, so much has been going on, including life. Life happens to every single one of us. And it takes a lot to keep pushing sometimes. It does. But I do want to encourage you, no matter where you're at right now or what this year has looked like for you so far, I'm going to encourage you to keep pushing. And for those of you who had seemed like you've had roadblock after roadblock and setback after setback, I want to applaud you for the fact that you kept fighting, that you kept pushing, that you're still here. That's so important. It's so important that you know that everything that you've been doing is leading up to you accomplishing your goals and dreams. And so I just want to applaud you for being resilient, for you continuing to press forward. So to kind of give you an idea of what will be happening on Tuesdays and Thursdays until the end of August, my goal is to come up here, talk to you guys about different topics. You'll see a flyer before I come up here, but really just to connect with you guys, to share what's on my heart. And hopefully somebody is impacted by the things that we discuss. Feel free to comment, to share, to invite people that you know of that the specific topic that we're talking about may help. You might notice that I'm outside today. Really, I'm out here because when we talk about fear, oh my God, the fact that I'm even out here right now with these bugs and insects is making me a little jittery, but it's important that I'm out here for what we're talking about today. Hey, Miss Lynette, good to see you. So maybe you have some decisions that you have to make. And uncertainty is leaving you paralyzed. Maybe you struggle with being honest about how you feel about certain things in your relationships, in your friendships, because you fear losing the people that you love. You fear being by yourself. You fear not living up to other people's expectations, right? Maybe you're someone who fears certain events happening. And the thing about fear is that we magnify fear to such a great extent that sometimes it can cause us to lose sight of what actually is true. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Because we have a choice between pleasure and pain, right? On a regular basis. And usually we choose pleasure. That's the common decision, to choose what feels good, what sounds good, what looks good over what can be challenging, over what can be difficult. And so when we fear something, we fear it's a natural behavior. It's a natural instinct to fear something. But the thing about it is fear is here to keep us from harm, right? It's something that happens in our minds and in our bodies to tell us, hey, this might be harmful to us. This might cause pain. Let's stay away from that. So fear is not a bad thing. So when we talk about that, the important thing to note is that You decide how much control and influence and impact fear has over your actions. And so what we do with fear sometimes is we allow it to become irrational in our lives. And that's when the change has to take place. So what do you do when you're afraid? And this is just, thoughts for you to kind of think about. What do you do when you fear making a decision, or when you fear a certain behavior, or when you fear how other people will react? What do you do? What do you do when certain events come up in your life and you're not sure of the direction that you should take? Do you allow it to stop you in your tracks? Do you allow it to hinder you from getting to where you really want to be in your life? And you have to take stock, you have to take account of those things, because so many times in our lives, we allow things to keep us from our dreams and goals. And it really is time out for that. I believe that whatever it is that you've been afraid of, that you've been allowing to keep you from moving forward, I believe that you have not only the power, you have the mind, you have the ability to push through it, to push forward. Bridges! Oh my goodness. So what do we do when fear stops us from having the loving, beautiful relationships that we know we deserve and we desire? How about when fear stops us from stepping out on faith to start the business that we want to start? Or taking the job that we know we're overqualified or more than qualified to work, to have. We know we're deserving of the promotion, but we're afraid to ask for it. What do? Are those moments where we step back, really begin to encourage ourselves? Or are those moments where we talk ourselves out of it because we think of the worst case scenario? The impact of fear is so major in our lives today because it can either propel us forward. Terry! It can either propel us forward or it can hold us back. So when I think about fear, I think of impact that it's had on my life in particular. Hey, Adrian. Right? And so for a long time, I allowed fear to keep me from doing what I'm doing today. This is a small thing, getting on live and talking in front of people. But for a very long time, I allowed my fear of what I thought other people thought of me from doing what I knew would impact lives. How many of us are doing that same thing? How many of us have a gift, a talent, an ability, and we're too afraid to release that onto other people because we're afraid of what they might think? What if I fail? What if it's not as good as people think it should be? What if? That's the question that will either keep us stuck or propel us forward. Because the other side of that coin is, what if it goes amazing? What if I'm great? What if I'm better than I thought I could be? Some of us don't give ourselves the opportunity to prove ourselves to ourselves. And so I'm sure all of you have heard the acronym for fear, very common, false evidence appearing real. And that's not 100% true, because it's not that the evidence is always false. Sometimes things really can bring fear into our lives. But the thing is, how have we magnified it? Because fear is real. I'm sitting outside today with these bugs. The fear is real. You hear me? It's real. I could right now have a bug on my back and not know it. And I'm okay with that right now, right? But if I saw one crawling on me, I'll tell you right now, y'all won't see me in this camera. It's real, okay? But I say that to say, but that at the same time is not going to keep me from being in front of you guys and sharing with you all what I have for you today. And so something that I'm practicing, and I have been for a while, is to feel the fear and do it anyway. You take power from fear, when you decide to do the thing that scares you anyway? Am I afraid to speak in front of people? Just as an example, maybe, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Why is that? Because the benefit of what I'm doing is greater than the worst case scenario of fear. Okay, I might be afraid of heights, but guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put myself in situations where I have to face that fear. And I'm gonna do that because I know that there's growth on the other side of that fear. Maybe I might be afraid of getting into certain relationships. But I know that the benefit of those relationships, even if they're professional relationships, the benefit of those relationships is so much greater than the fear that wants to hold me back from those. And so the example that comes to my mind when I think about fear always is kids. As pretty much all of you know, I have a son. I remember when he was a kid and we go to the playground, and after him falling a couple times, he would not want to get back on whatever apparatus he was on that made him fall. For instance, let's say the slide. Okay, he might have got a little burn on his leg from going down the slide the wrong way or too fast. But after doing it so many times, maybe he needed me to coach him through it. Maybe he needed me to be a companion and go down the slide with him, right? But either way, over time, he became more confident in himself, and the fear of hurting himself on the slide lessened with each try. For us as adults, is everything that we're going to try, is it going to succeed? Possibly not. And that's okay to have a fear of failure. But here's the thing. You don't know if you can if you never do. Some of us are family members. We've seen family members fail at businesses, at trying to conceive, all kinds of different things that we may have seen people fail at. And we take on that burden of feeling like failure is for us. But there is nothing wrong with failing as long as you get back up. What's going on, Joshua? Hey, Monty. So in saying that, as long as you're moving forward and fear is not crippling you from getting done the things that you would like to accomplish, things that make you feel more fulfilled, make you feel more alive, that fear is healthy, right? It's the fear that says you'll never be great, and so you stop trying. That's the fear that we want to reduce the impact of. And so a few things that I just wanted to leave with you guys, we won't be up here long at all, is I have about 4 things that I would suggest if you were trying to overcome fear, if you wanted to lessen the impact of fear in your life. And the first thing is to identify that fear. And for some of us, that's going to require professional help, to be honest. Not all fear is able to just be overcome just by sheer willpower. Sometimes we need a professional to walk with us, to hold our hand, and to show us ways that we can overcome it little by little. Number 2, I would say, is to face the fear. I said it earlier that something that I've been practicing is to face the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear, and do it anyway. But facing the fear is sometimes it's talking about it. Sometimes it's the actual action. Case in point, here I am, things crawling all around. Have I died? I have not. And that's the thing, we magnify things sometimes to such a great level that it tells us, like, I'm an adventurous person. I'm going to go on adventures. Am I going to allow insects to stop me because that's something that I get itchy about? Excuse me if you see me itch. No. But for some of us, the fear is so much more intense, so much more overwhelming that it takes a lot more than just sheer willpower. And this session here, this discussion here is general. I'm not a counselor. I'm not here to tell you that your fear is not real. I'm not even here to tell you that every single fear that you face can go away just like this. It takes work, it takes practice, and it takes you to believe that the thing that you're afraid of is not bigger than what's on the other side of that fear. And then number 3, it really is to shift your perspective. Shifting your perspective to see not only the fear itself, but to see the actual outcome of growing from that fear. So here's a case in point. I have a slight fear of, and I don't even, personally, I don't like to call it fear, but for the sake of this talk, I have a slight fear of heights. So it's never exactly been a goal of mine to be at the top of the Eiffel Tower. I'll do it because I like challenging myself. But those kind of heights, I'm just like, I don't know. But me shifting my perspective to say, you know what? That's so small in the grand scheme of things. Because there's so many adventures for me to have where heights are necessary. I want that. I want what's on the other side of that. And it's that mindset and that attitude that helps you to propel you forward into what it is that you really desire to do. And then last thing is to focus on the upside, or the actual outcome of the thing you fear, and not the worst case scenario. As I'm sitting out here outside with all these insects, are they going to eat me? No. But I have figured out that when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of scary movies with big insects and they were eating people. And that's where my fear of those things stems from. But I'm very much aware that there's not going to be a large ant that comes over here and bites my arm off. I'm aware of that, right? And that might be kind of funny, but that's a small example of really focusing on the upside. Insects are all here for a reason. They all serve a purpose. Pain, it all serves a purpose. Relationships, every single one of them serves a purpose. And I believe that if we can get to the other side of the fear, that we'll begin to see so much growth in our personal lives, in the way that we think, in our perspective. And I want you to remember that being afraid doesn't always mean failure. Even though there's nothing wrong with failure. Monty says she ain't get on no roller coasters. And that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't mean that every single thing that you fear is something that has to be conquered. But I believe that you can push through the fear. You can achieve what your heart desires. But you have to keep moving forward. And so as I kind of wrap this up today, I want to thank everybody for joining me, for commenting, for showing up. Please share, like this, continue to comment even after this ends. If you know somebody that this could possibly help, by all means, send it to them. Send it to them. That's always my goal, to impact as many people, especially women, but as many people as possible, to have a greater belief and confidence in themselves, in their capabilities. And I believe that every time we come together, every time we meet, there's going to be something new, something different, something fresh that you're going to get out of it, and that the person who you send it to is going to get out of it. For those of you who don't know, I do have an ebook. It's called You Are Enough. If you have not yet purchased my ebook, or if you know somebody who could benefit from it, please visit the link in my bio and hook a friend up. Not this friend, but whatever friend you have, whatever friend you have that you know the book could benefit. You guys have an amazing day. I'll see you guys Thursday. It'll probably be 9:30, but like I said, I'll send out a flyer beforehand. Love you guys. Have an amazing rest of your night.